Happy Miracle Monday. I'm Dawn Petalino. I'm your transformational coach and best-selling author of Peace, Power, and Miracles. And Miracle Monday is where I remind you of certain truths that just help us feel grounded back in our bodies, back in our spirits, and so we can identify with that spacious, unlimited part of ourselves and become miraculous expressions of love in this world. And today's Miracle Monday is, are you working too hard? I know that I've been a workaholic or a busyholic all my life. You know, it was always kind of like that straight A kid, that achiever. And I still like to achieve. I still like to cross things off my list, right? But here's the thing. With that idea of working hard, there can be a bit of perfectionist in that. But there can also be that what I do isn't enough. And when we work hard, you'll notice that sometimes it'll feel good. And then you'll start to hit that burnout stage, but you keep pushing, you keep driving yourself, because we have this idea, this mentality in our head, if I just get this done, I'll feel better. But then after we do it, we just feel drained, depleted, irritable, and unreasonable. So we don't really feel better. That's just kind of a lie our head tells us about. Though we do feel like, well, I just got to do more. I got to keep working. And sometimes we even have the belief in our head that we have to work hard to get something, that that's just the way it is. And I'm going to have to struggle to do this. And it's going to be difficult. And we already believe it. And what the Course in Miracles, and I refer to the Course in Miracles and the Course of Love, is, that we have to join with that spacious self. And the Course of Love tells us that that's the old idea of what you learned. And every time that comes up, you have this idea that you have to work hard, that, the strong will survive, that the weak will not. And it says anytime you have this mentality going on, that you must remember to get rid of the old and be open to something new. And it says, just as you cannot imagine God struggling, so you should not imagine your capital S self. What's really happening is when we get too caught into our brain and too caught into our to-do list, we start living from this kind of ticker tape mentality. Got to do this, got to do this, got to do this. And it's very draining. But when we can be very present with our circumstances and just be with what we're doing, which does take practice, it's pulling yourself back. It's what the Course of Love calls rest as a state of being, where you're pulling yourself back and you are just being with what it is you're doing. And you're being fully there. And you're not thinking about the next thing, and you're not thinking about the last thing. And you're just being with it. And sometimes that involves just what I did. You got to stop and just take a breath and be there. And when we're there, we are also stepping into this unknown. We're not trying to control the next thing. We're just doing the next thing in front of us. That also leaves us open to our higher self and the higher consciousness to come through. That's why your capital S self wouldn't struggle, because it's very present. But if I get too caught into my beta brain and my to-do list and my outer world stuff, I lose that connection. That's when I get drained. That's when I get irritable. That's when I feel overwhelmed and stressed. And it's a reminder at that moment to pull back. The Course of Love says, how can something control and create? How can something that's trying to be controlled create? So I have to pull back and let my higher consciousness, which is kind of stepping into the unknown, lead the way. And that means that I have to take that breath and be very present with what I'm doing, which is difficult because we get very into that multitasking mode, but you'll notice that you just don't do anything really well and you forget things. So try this. I encourage you to try this today, that anytime you start to feel yourself overwhelmed and stressed, and the Course in Miracles, that's a sure sign you're doing it on your own. Pull back and just remember, just as I cannot imagine God struggling, so must I not imagine my capital S self struggling. Take that breath and practice coming back and just doing the thing in front of you. And see what happens when you're able to just be with what you're doing. Notice your energy. Notice the clarity. Notice your calmness. Notice your disposition. Everything elevates and begins to improve. So that is your Miracle Monday tip. If you notice that you're reaching that tipping point and you're pushing yourself and driving yourself, there's a part of your brain that's going to think that's the way to do it. That's when it says this is where you must allow for something new. Come back to the present and see what miracles unfold there. Happy Miracle Monday. If you enjoyed this, I encourage you to like this. Check out my YouTube page. Check out my Facebook page, dawnpetalino.com. Check out my website. And you can sign up for my newsletter and never miss another Miracle Monday. I hope you have an excellent week, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye for now.